Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hitchhiking Ghost podcast. On today's episode, I am speaking about the worst moments on the worst rides. You know, on rides that aren't really that great. So I'm really speaking from my opinion, so if your favorite ride is on this list, I apologize. But you're going to have to kind of humor me with these moments because they are bad. So let's get into this. So the first ride that I want to talk about is Soarin'. Of course, I just love Soarin'. I think it's one of the best attractions on property. Never mind. It stinks. I think it stinks. It's not that great to me. It's highly overrated. One of the worst parts of this whole attraction are the transitions, okay? And one transition really bothers me the most because whenever you are in Africa, flying above the elephants, and the elephants are like swaying back and forth because, you know, the image is skewed, one of the elephants throws sand up in your face. Now, everything turns sandy because, you know, on Soarin', all the transitions are trying to be as smooth as possible, but it's kind of hard to make smooth transitions. But they tried their best, and I think they did a good job. But, you know, something hits you in your face, not literally, but it hits the screen, and the location changes. But during this one in Africa, you go from the sand being thrown into your face, and then you're at the Great Wall of China. I just really don't understand that. And after the Great Wall of China, a kite hits you in the face, and you're at the Great Pyramids of Egypt. So I'm always confused about this transition because wouldn't you, the sand gets thrown in the air. There's a lot of sand in Egypt. I don't know why they didn't just go straight to Egypt. I don't know why you would have to get hit in the face with a kite to go Egypt, and whenever you get sand thrown in your face, you go the Great Wall of China, a green, lush area. I don't understand it. It bothers me, okay? It really takes me out and it really annoys me. Next, let's talk about the mission space. I really have an issue with the buttons that you press. Whenever it is time to push the buttons, it doesn't matter if you don't push them, if you push them, it really doesn't matter. So if you push your buttons, you know, a little animation comes on the screen like, oh, well, yeah, you did your job, yeah, all that jazz. But if you don't touch your button, the animation still pops up. So it's just a little bit confusing because there should be a pass-fail to this. I think that would be really cool. Even though the pass-fails thing about the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, I really hate the pass-fail because if you get a bad driver, it is terrible. But that's not on the list. I'm not really a fan of the spinning either. But the worst part to me is not the spinning and not the getting into the coffin that you have to get into to ride this spinning ride. But it's the buttons that just really annoys me because, you know, there's a heavy coat of bacteria on those buttons, and why would I press them if I don't have to? It's weird. The next ride I want to talk about is Test Track. I really miss the old days of Test Track, I'm not going to lie to you. But I really don't like the test before the actual fun part, you know, the actual speed test. Whenever you go around all these corners and then you run into a truck that honks his horn as loud as possible, that is so loud, and I really dislike loud noises, but it is a very uncomfortable drive with not very much to look at. It's just neon lights buzzing everywhere. I really hate that they changed this ride from what it used to be, but that's the worst part because you hit those turns at a pretty good rate of speed and you pin yourself. It kind of feels like you're on Primeval Whirl for a second. It's just really hard for me to I feel like I'm gonna break my arm because it's pushing me against my riding partner's shoulder so hard. And yeah, it's just a tough ride. The next ride I would like to speak about is the Kali River Rapids. This ride is my least favorite out of all of Walt Disney World, and one huge reason why is there's a part where there are burning logs right next to your ride vehicle in the 95-degree weather in Central Florida with no water. And you don't get wet before this part, you get wet after it. And you start showing signs of heat stroke, and then you go down the drop, and then you get soaking wet. So I'm surprised people don't go into shock whenever they get extremely wet after they're showing signs of heat stress. So it's just not really my favorite attraction, and that part really does suck because it is hot. It is so hot. The next ride I want to talk about is the Navi River Journey. And I really don't want to say every single moment is a terrible moment for that ride. But I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to say every single moment until that animatronic shows up is the worst part of this ride. Because this ride is terrible. Oh my goodness, it is such a waste of time. I don't like this ride at all. I think it is just a complete waste of time, as I said. So yeah, I'm going to cheat. The whole ride is the worst moment other than seeing the shaman. I think that is a very cool animatronic. So yeah, Navi River Journey definitely needs to be on this list. Sadly, I can't say the same thing about Star Tours, even though I would like to cheat on Star Wars and say it all the time as well. But I think the worst section for me is when they get chased through the asteroid field. This section kills my head. All of the sections kill my head, but this one in particular, I can't even watch it. I have to look at C-3PO, or I just have to close my eyes because it is jarring. It is truly jarring. And the worst part of the Tomorrowland Speedway, I love talking about Tomorrowland so much, is getting in and out of the car, to be honest. Me and my girlfriend at the time went on this ride during the Christmas party. And, it was a 5-minute wait. I usually don't want to go on these attractions, but it was her first time. So I'm like, yeah, we can go on it just so you can say that you've done it. But she's also, she wanted to ride all the rides, and I was down. So we rode all of them. And then we get to this ride. It's so hard because, we're grown people, and it's kind of hard getting into a tiny little car. It's made for an adult and a small child. That's the audience. It was very uncomfortable, okay? And then, you can't stay on the track worth a crap. It just keeps going back and forth, hitting the walls of the car. And then whenever it was the end of the ride, whenever my girlfriend tried to get out of the car, she trips and falls. Trying to get out of the car, she lost her balance and fell right onto the sidewalk. Now, granted, she was not the most nimble of people. She was a little bit goofy, but still, goodness. It's really hard for a grown person to get into that vehicle and get out of it. It's very difficult. I don't like the ride already, but getting in and out of it just makes it even more difficult. So usually I just walk past this ride. Don't even give it any time of day. And the last one I would like to talk about is the worst moment of any ride of anywhere, out of anywhere. And that is Soarin' again. I have to talk about Soarin' again. And it is the Eiffel Tower. Whenever you fly around an Eiffel Tower that looks like a boomerang, after you see all these beautiful images, all this beautiful video of of the world. Some are skewed and some like doesn't show the skewing as much. But whenever you're in France and you see that boomerang, it just completely takes you out of it. You hear like murmurs in the crowd whenever you're on it, from other people being really disappointed about what they see. They're like really confused. It sounds like confusion, because I'm like, which I can understand, because why would they do that? Why would they leave that in there? For me, I sometimes burst out laughing because I see a boomerang where it's supposed to be the Eiffel Tower, and it's just funny to me, but that's just me being absolutely insane. I just think it's funny, but it's terrible. It's the worst moment of any attraction on property, and that will conclude my list. I love ending it on a good moment with Soarin'. I love trashing it even more. So I appreciate everyone for listening to this, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Goodbye.